just haven't been any requests for this area lately, you know?
Yeah.
I'm only half listening to Junpei. He said something about why I haven't been tasked with killing anyone lately, but I don't really care about the reasons. Junpei's the only one in contact with the leader of the human removal service. I just take orders, like all of the other heralds. Not that I've met any of them. Every herald has their own district, their own turf. If a request comes through our website, it gets allocated to the herald closest to the victim. It must have been a week since I last got to kill, maybe 2 weeks. It's not that I like the killing, it's not that I want to do it. I fulfill the request simply as a way to antagonize Noriko. It's my role to play in backing her into a corner and shutting down Corpse Girl. And so far, thanks to my contributions to the human removal service, we have been incredibly successful. Corpse Girl is all but a distant memory to the general public. If people really want to request somebody's death, they come to us, not her. I don't plan on remaining with this group for much longer. After all, Noriko is pretty much already broken. She's a wreck. Once I find her, I'll possess her and quit this group. Then I'll finally have the life I always wanted, Noriko's life. It's just... like, sometimes I catch myself, like, thinking about this game, and I'm just like, everyone's so, like, messed up. And it's like, can you even really like any of them? Like, the one I like the most, I guess, is Tomoe. You know, but even she has her issues, so I guess that's kind of the point of this visual novel, almost. Not like the point, there's multiple points, I'm sure, but it's kind of like... just everyone's kind of unlikable and like people that you probably wouldn't really want to associate with unless you're, you know, in your edgy teenage days. I'll resurrect Corpse Girl when I feel like it. I'll use my inside knowledge on the human removal services operations to bring them down myself. After that, I'll be able to spend my days in peace, living free of fear, finally comfortable in being the girl I want to be. I'll truly be Noriko.
Yo, babe, you in there?
Huh?
I suppose I drifted too far away. I rub my eyes, look at Junpei, and flash him my sweetest fake smile.
I'm okay. Sorry, honey bear. I'm very tired.
Oh, don't sweat it. You want me to grab you a cup of coffee?
That would be lovely. You always know how to make me feel better.
Of course. I'm on it, babe. You wait right there.
Junpei stomps away and heads behind the bar, leaving me alone in this empty section of the cafe. I take a seat on one of the cardboard boxes lining the wall. The box is solid thanks to being packed full of various canned drinks. The maid cafe belongs to us in the early hours of the morning. The place doesn't open till noon, so there's no one here this early. I have my own keys these days, regardless of whether or not I'm supposed to. Junpei suggested we use this place as a makeshift base of operations after I decided I was going to continue working here. That was some time ago now. Originally, I truly had planned to quit. I was going to work with Noriko. My manager at the time used to drive me insane. I couldn't wait to get away, but after I killed him, things here weren't so bad. The new manager is great. He doesn't pressure me to work shifts I don't want to. He doesn't let customers take advantage of the staff. Neither the new manager nor the other staff members care that Junpei and I meet up down here. It's not like we leave any incriminating evidence behind either. It's simply an easy place for us to meet up and talk, since Junpei lives so far away from me. The added benefit is that we have access to cheap drinks and food thanks to my employee discount, so hanging out here is actually quite pleasant. I wait for a while longer for Junpei to return. I really could use a coffee right now. His return is heralded by the thump of heavy feet against the tiled floor.
I got you, fam.
And call your girlfriend fam. Smooth, dude. Junpei sidles up to me and hands me my favorite drink, a tall iced coffee with an extra espresso shot and a dollop of ice cream.
Oh, you're the best, baby.
Yeah, I know it.
He giggles in his insanely irritating high-pitched way and begins to chug down his own latte.
So I wanted to ask you a favor.
Anything for you, honeybee.
Tufted milky foam sits on his top lip, and I have to hold myself back from stabbing him in the face.
Noriko apparently spent a lot of time in Shin Okubo with her accomplice Tomoe.
Shin Okubo, huh? Good old K-Town. What'd they go there for? Karaoke?
Doubt it. Noriko sounds like a drowning cat when she sings.
Then what?
Well, I'd like to think that's where the factory is located.
Oh, gotcha.
Slower than Tomoe, this one, eh?
Ooh, you could be onto something. A trip from Kojiro's Mark to Shinokubo wouldn't take that long. Since they used to move a lot of bodies around, it's definitely a viable location.
I agree.
Right on, I'll look into it. I'll track down factories in that area and get my troops to investigate each one.
I'm careful not to let him see me roll my eyes. By his troops, he means the guys he plays online games with, a bunch of teenagers that all look up to him because he's a top-ranked player. They're not involved with the human removal service, they're just pawns that Junpei uses to complete legwork around town. Sadly, they're happy to serve him because they all see him as their sensei.
Cool. Let me know what you find out. I'm itching to get this all over with. My love.
It's increasingly difficult to act pleasant around Junpei. My mouth tries to clamp itself shut every time I use a pet name or affectionate term. I know that my time to discard him is near. Once I become Noriko, then...
You can count on me, sweetums. Now drink up and get your energy back.
I take a sip of my iced coffee and can nearly taste it. Because my tongue is dead, the food and drinks I consume need to be extra strong or sweet for me to have a chance of enjoying the flavor. But Junpei doesn't know this. He just thinks I have a sweet tooth. He can think whatever he wants because I just don't care. She's not dead, though. Like, we all know this, right? A message from Junpei arrives while I'm lying in the fetal position on my couch. Hey cutie, the guys checked out a bunch of factories yesterday, got the location. Hit me up? That's what HMU means, right? I have to read the message twice to make sure my eyes aren't deceiving me like usual. Does he truly have the location I've been looking for? I take a calming breath. I don't want to jump to conclusions, especially with something involving Junpei. He has the tendency to exaggerate and may just be trying to get me excited about some useless information. I send him a short reply requesting the info. I instantly receive a thumbs up emote, then the text box changes to an animated ... as Junpei composes his follow-up message. The wait is agonizing. If Junpei pulls through for me here, I might finally learn Noriko's location. If it all pans out, then everything could be over by tonight. It's hard not to get excited about the prospect. It's hard not to get ahead of myself. I could leave my death behind and never look back. I could become Noriko and live the happy life she has been keeping to herself all these years. Delusional. The message finally arrives on my screen. It's an address, not that I expected anything else. A street name and a factory number in the Shin-Okubo area. One more message from Junpei comes through. My guy saw a chick matching Noriko's description inside that factory. They thought she was a zombie. Ha! Go check it. This is it. As long as this information is solid, I've located Noriko's factory. My entire body begins to shake. An icy chill washes over me as though I've just walked into a cold shower. It's a strange sensation for a dead girl to feel. Pain doesn't affect me, and yet the cold is something I can never banish from my bones. No time to focus on that. I have to stay calm. Need to concentrate and pull myself together. I launch myself up from the couch and collect the backpack hanging over the coat rack. I unzip it, run my hands through its contents, and convince myself that everything I need is within. After swinging the bag over my shoulder, I throw open the apartment door and venture outside. The factory is a run-down mess. How anyone can live here is beyond me. I suppose I'll just have to find a way to make it feel like home. Maybe once I'm inside Noriko's skin, I'll be able to understand why she's so comfortable here. Yeah, the more I look at it, the better it seems. This will be my home. I'll be Noriko and live here happily ever after. I'll sit back and enjoy the life that she has been withholding from me. Firstly, I need to find somewhere to change my clothes. I can't kill someone if I'm wearing my nice dress. That's just not acceptable. I did consider changing at home, but then I would have scored funny looks from people on the train ride over here. Is it strange that a dead girl fears entering a socially awkward situation? I always go out of my way to avoid uncomfortable situations. Perhaps that's just a remnant of the life I once knew, something that I can't quite leave behind. It's the same as my obsessive compulsions. They cling to me like carrion flies swarming over my corpse. I shouldn't be worried about any of those things, but dead or not, my mind can't just discard the anxieties that shaped my entire life. Wait, what am I doing? Why am I trapping myself in pointless thoughts? My goal is right in front of me. Noriko is on the other side of that brick wall, completely unaware of what is about to happen. A heavy-handed slap to my face doesn't sting, but it causes me to reevaluate what I'm doing. Focus. First, I'll change into the gear provided to me by the human removal service. Then, I'll shimmy into the factory through an open window. I'll locate Noriko and drive a knife into her chest. I'll pluck her still-beating heart from her body like a ripe strawberry, and then I'll carve my name into the pulsating, blood-spurting organ. Noriko's life will be over, and I'll be reborn. I'll baptize myself in her lifeblood and become the girl I've always wanted to be. And I'll be happy. Happy, just like Noriko. That smiling, carefree girl that I spent my youth with. The girl that faced her mother's attempted suicide with a stoic smile. The The girl that didn't flinch when her father walked out. The girl that stayed inside day after day when the outside world just became too scary to face. The happy, carefree girl without a single real problem. She never knew how good her life was. She wouldn't have lasted a day in my shoes. I hate her so much. I'm going to become her. My backpack hits the ground with a dull impact. I tear my yellow sundress from my shoulders and let it fall to the ground, just like a snake sheds its skin. The cool afternoon breeze bites at my naked skin and makes the tiny hairs across my body stand on end. Why can the dead feel the cold? The dead shouldn't feel anything. I crouch and rummage through my backpack, withdrawing my change of clothes. Slowly, calmly, deliberately, I dress myself in the dark gear that marks me as a herald, one of many. I note the comforting weight of 4 knives concealed within my jacket, 1 in each sleeve and 2 against my chest. It's important to be armed to the teeth. After donning every article, I pull a broad mask out of the bag, a mask in the likeness of Corpse Girl, my enemy and my future identity. I slide the mask over my face and a curtain of calm descends over me. This is the last time I march forward in the name of the Human Removal Service. This is for my own personal agenda. The scheming of that rebellious group of killers no longer guides my hand. The time has come. I approach the factory's front entrance and try the door, simply out of curiosity. I don't expect Noriko to have lowered her guard so much, and yet, the door swings open. She left it unlocked. A mistake I never would have made thanks to my overbearing compulsions. This place reeks of death. If I wasn't so accustomed to the smell, I'd probably vomit. Do you get dead girls vomit? The dull, steady hum of an air conditioner registers in my consciousness but doesn't distract me from examining the surroundings. Countless empty body bags are strewn across the pockmarked concrete floor. Some are stained with brown blood and some are completely clean. A series of shelves, almost like warehouse racks, run along the walls and across the floor in haphazard patterns. Whoever planned this layout was out of their mind. However, this is home now. My home. Soon. Striding forward, I weave between shelves and step over discarded body bags. So far, there has been no indication of Noriko's presence. Still, I draw a knife from inside my sleeve so that it rests in the palm of my hand. The metal handle is cold. Cold? Why do I feel cold? The entire factory is like a freezer. How can Noriko live here?
Hey.
My torso twists in reaction to the monotone syllable. The quick movement sends a shooting pain across my chest. Pain? Pain?
It's you. Hello, Harold. It took me a while, but I figured out what your mask is supposed to be. It's like an artistic representation of Corpse Girl, right? The Corpse Girl mascot that appears on my website.
Noriko flashes her phone at me and I glare at the website displayed.
That's totally copyright infringement.
I don't know what to say to her. This isn't exactly how I imagined this encounter would play out.
Why'd you fake Junpei Matsumoto's death? You know what I'm talking about, right? That time we met in the underground parking lot. You planted a look-alike corpse to fool us into thinking Junpei had died. Total Corpse Girl move, by the way. Guess you stole that strategy from me, too. I sense a lawsuit.
She steps forward with a hand outstretched. I instinctively lash out with my knife and slash her wrist. But her hand comes to rest on my shoulder, the tiny nick from my inaccurate blade not even prompting a spurt of blood.
Ouch! That stung a little.
The warmth of her hand seeps into my shoulder. It's almost comforting.
Aoi, I miss you. I really miss you. Can you take off the mask? Can we just talk?
I don't take off the mask. I don't know why I'm standing here listening to her. I don't know why her presence and her reassuring hand has caused me to lower my guard. She smiles. This is the happy, carefree Noriko I grew up with.
You're so beautiful, Aoi. I'm really sad we can't be together. How are things with your boyfriend?
That single useless word crawls out of my rotting mouth like a diseased maggot. It's all I can bring myself to say.
You can't tell me? That's okay. You used to be so open with me. And then, you died. We tried to keep our friendship going after that, but we've never really been the same since then, have we? I hope you get the help you need, Aoi. I hope one day we can put
You both
all of
need
this
so
behind
much help.
us.
Probably institutionalized. Not even probably. My fingers loosen, then the grip on my knife weakening. It falls to the concrete ground. I don't need it anymore. I tense my arms and squeeze my hands together, desperately trying to crush Noriko's throat beneath my fingers. Her skin is warm and flushes red as my grip tightens. She kicks against me, but the pain doesn't register. She's weak and frail. Her strangled cry is drowned out by my own grunts of exertion. Anemic fingers swipe at my arms constantly, only serving to irritate me. I could hold her neck in one hand and use my other to plunge a knife into her face. I could continue to strangle her until I crush her windpipe. Or I could slash her stomach open and let her intestines spill out onto the ground. All of the options are appealing. All of the options can be put into motion within seconds. I take my right hand off her neck and slip it into my jacket, ready to pull out a knife. My left hand closes tighter on her neck, and Noriko closes the distance between us, causing my elbow to bend and allow her closer. Her forehead slams into my own and my neck recoils backward. I'm falling to the ground, only able to blink once as I try to work out what just happened. She somehow summoned the strength to headbutt me. Frail, weak, ghostly Noriko. She actually stood up for herself. She actually struck the person she loves. I'm dazed, but ultimately uninjured. I didn't even feel the impact of my skull against the concrete when I landed flat on my back. Noriko towels over me and rubs her neck, her ragged breathing even louder than the thrumming air conditioner.
Sorry, Aoi. I had to defend myself. Please, get up. Let's talk about things.
I get up. I slip the knife into her side and feel it slide neatly between two of her ribs. Her taut, thin skin does nothing to resist impalement. Noriko looks down at the wound and mumbles in surprise. I drive the knife in deeper, and with a flick of my wrist, I pull it sideways, slashing her belly open wide. An arcing stream of blood sprays from the savage wound and forms a macabre rainbow before me. Noriko coughs and gags as she frantically tries to stem the tide of blood with her hands.
Damn it! Corpse girl will
She falls to her knees.
get at you.
Her empty threat falls with her, and her face slams into the concrete. Noriko Kurosawa is dead. Wow. Using the very same knife that slashed her open, I cut along the seams of my jacket and skirt. I strip myself down with the blade until I'm standing cold and naked in the factory. It doesn't take long to strip Noriko down as well, but I'm extra careful with her clothes, and I don't use the knife this time. I simply pull her dress up and over until it slides free from her motionless body. I hold the dress up against me, letting it press against my own form. I look down and admire the sight of myself, imagining what I'll look like when I wear it. I can finally become Noriko. I can wear her clothes, live in her factory, talk to her friends, work at her office. I can do all the things that she loved to do, all the things that made her happy. I slip the dress over my head and force my arms through the sleeves. It's a little long, but overall it fits me nicely. I'm Noriko Kurosawa. Okay. Where the fuck do we go from here? Okay, final act. Noriko Kurosawa. Okay. I mean, I already know I'm on the track to a bad ending because I chose wrong with Aoi. I'm guessing that much. Because I haven't got the bond thing with her and she just killed Noriko, so I think I missed my chance to do that. Not that they should have a bond to begin with because this is like hella fucked up, I don't know. When Mother killed herself, she didn't die. Well, she died, but not really. It's a funny thought. Everything that she was, everything that made her Asuna Kurosawa, left this planet on that day. Her body remained, but her soul had departed. She got sent away to a care facility and I didn't see her very often after that. On the rare occasions I visited her, I would always notice that her eyes no longer looked like mine. I hate her for what she did to our family. Yuriko and I were only children at the time. But Mother hung herself up from the ceiling and made us watch. She encouraged us to kick the chair out from underneath her. We didn't understand what she was doing. She told us it was a game. So we kicked the chair, and we laughed. And Mother laughed, and then her neck snapped, and she stopped laughing. And that light in her eyes that I once shared with her was extinguished instantly. Yuriko screamed, and I screamed, and Mother just wouldn't move, and we couldn't get her down from the ceiling, and eventually Yuriko remembered how to call for an ambulance, and the paramedics arrived, and we were taken away. And after that, I was completely fucked up because you don't just walk away from something like that and act like nothing happened. I spent years trying to force the painful memories of her suicide attempt out of my mind. But I didn't exactly cope with it very well. How could I? I became terrified of the world and became used to locking myself inside and wasting away. Yuriko dealt with it a little better than me. I can't say her rebellious behavior was the right way to cope, but it had to have been healthier than staying inside for weeks at a time. By the time I reached senior high school, I think I had mostly gotten past everything. The version of Mother hanging from the ceiling in front of me didn't haunt my dreams. The sound of our laughter intermingled with screaming didn't always ring in my ears. Aoi helped me through a lot of it. She shared all of her problems with me, and it made me feel a bit better, like maybe my life wasn't so bad. Aoi's life was kind of messed up. Her father was arrested for various crimes and didn't spend much time in her life. When we were about ready to graduate, he came back to town and violently attacked her. She called me and told me that he killed her. But she killed him too, so it was all going to be okay. Her words, not mine. So, to cope with killing her dad, she felt like it was like equal. He killed her, so she killed him. So she kind of brought up this delusion in her head to kind of make it fair and okay, even though the self-defense, you're fine. Never understood what she meant when she said she was dead. I think graduating put some distance between us, so I never truly tried to figure out her words. My own problems came back to haunt me once I moved out of home. I became completely distracted and almost forgot about Aoi. The apartment I moved into, I should have known that the smell of mold wasn't normal. I should have paid attention to the shoddy repair work that had been performed on the wall. I should have just walked away and found somewhere else to live. But that apartment, I suppose that's where I started to lose control of my life, and that's exactly the reason why I need to return there. Well, several days later from when she died?
Looks the same as always.
Several days later from when? She's dead. Assumedly. I'm not looking forward to climbing the rest of the stairs up to the apartment. I can hardly walk at all, even on flat ground, but I have to do this. I can't let stitches and bandages and painkillers distract me from getting inside. I don't know how long I was in the hospital for. None of my personal effects were with me when I woke up. I had no phone, no purse, no handbag, but the doctors monitored me for a few days and then let me go, even though I had told them I had nowhere to return to. They just threw me onto the street. They couldn't even tell me what happened to the girl who attacked me. They had no idea if she'd been arrested or not. I have a feeling she's still out there. Regardless, I'm here now. My wound is apparently on the mend and I don't have any signs of infection. All I have to focus on is the ascent in front of me. Each step I climb is more difficult to conquer than the last. Each time I raise my leg, I experience a tearing, searing agony along the length of my stomach. More than once, I have to stop and check that my stitches haven't torn wide open. When I'm sure my flesh is more or less intact, I continue scaling the mountain. My head throbs and beads of sweat drip down my face. When I hit the landing on the level below my own apartment, I spy a familiar face.
Noriko?
Momo Ogawa, the daughter of Kenji Ogawa, the man I framed in order to maintain my
Hey,
innocence.
Momo.
A panicked cry isn't the reaction I was suspecting. The father is exiting their apartment just as Momo cries out. He does a double take before glaring at me.
Noriko, surprised to see you here.
I can't quite get a grasp of his tone. Is he happy to see me or angry? Does he even know that I'm the reason he was arrested? Well, I'm assuming that the police let him go fairly quickly. After all, he's here at his home and not rotting in a cell.
Hello.
Your landlord said you disappeared.
Yeah, kind of.
Are you okay? You look like...
His gaze turns to the hospital tags adorning my wrists and the package of spare bandages I have slung over my shoulder.
You know, you disappeared right around the time the police...
Huh?
Forget it. It's nothing.
I have a bad feeling that he's beginning to piece something together. If he works out that I'm behind his false arrest, then...
Sorry, I should go.
Yeah, come on, Momo.
Bye-bye, Noriko!
Bye, Momo.
The girl waves excitedly as her father leads her downstairs. I should feel relieved that he's safe, but honestly I just feel guilty. My actions, Corpse Girl's actions, put a lot of strain on that little family. I have to keep going. The last flight of stairs is torture on my battered body, but I persevere and reach the front door of my apartment. It's at this moment that I remember I don't have any keys to get in. Shit. Out of desperation, I try turning the handle and the door opens. Either I left the place unlocked or the landlord has been inside and forgot to lock up. I'm just thankful that I can keep moving forward. The curtains are open, bathing the living area in a soft light.
I'm home.
Home. No, that's not right. This isn't my home. This isn't Noriko's home. This is Corpse Girl's home. I never really lived here. I simply existed within these walls. The real Noriko was held hostage by an omnipotent presence sealed in this home. The things here are just as I left them so long ago. It's a comforting feeling, but at the same time it sends a chill down my spine. It's time to move on. I stride with purpose toward the kitchenette and slide open one of the drawers. Inside is a small mallet with a metal head. It's a treasure I acquired from the garden shed on the apartment grounds back when I first moved in. It's not very large, but that suits me just fine. I don't have the strength to wield anything bigger than this. Bringing it to bear is still a great deal of effort. I grip the handle with both hands and lift the deceptively heavy tool. Equipped with this tiny weapon of distraction, I slowly lurch through the hallway. I make my way to the very end, where a blank, stark white wall faces me. The paint on the wall is peeling like it was slapped on without care. The plaster is cracked like it was applied by an amateur, and the lingering stench of mold is at its strongest when I stand in front of this wall. I bring the mallet down with both arms, the heavy metal head crashing into the wall with as much force as I can muster. The struggle of bearing the mallet is taking its toll on my wound. I feel the stitches in my stomach threatening to snap and break, but I can't stop here. I can't stop until I've crushed this wall and revealed the glittering contents of the trove hidden inside. Another swing and another crash against plaster. A cry of pain and another hole in the wall. I scream and swing the hammer and groan and slash and weep, and the wall crumbles beneath my sheer force of will. White dust clouds my vision and provokes me into a coughing frenzy. When my eyes and throat clear up, I throw the mallet to the carpet and venture forward. I clamber through the human-sized hole in the wall and find myself within the secret cache on the other side. So he did just leave her there. The stench assaulting my nostrils no longer disguises itself as mold. It's the fetid malodor. Again, this is another word that I've only ever read, never said out loud, of rotten decay. The inimitable trademark of a decomposing corpse. I spent so long fooling myself into believing it was nothing concerning. I spent so long pretending that a corpse did not live within the walls of this apartment. The truth is, this corpse pinned to the wall is the root of all evil. It's an infinite fount of misery and despair and malice and death and hatred. This is Corpse Girl.
Hello, old friend.
Okay, but so if you never broke down the wall, how did you know Corpse Girl was in there? And then you became Corpse Girl? Like, I'm confused. The corpse does not reply. To call it a corpse is no longer entirely accurate. It has become little more than a skeleton. An osseous, again, another word I've only ever read, edifice, a macabre tribute to the unyielding sands of time. Bone and flesh and hair and fabric blend and intertwine and meld together to form a sickening representation of human beauty. I used to think this body was pure perfection, back when the corpse was more or less intact. It was the image of a gorgeous, vibrant young woman. Oh, did she plaster it back up? I aspired to become just as beautiful, slender, elegant, graceful, with pale skin and dark eyes. Looking at her now, it's clear to see that I was deceived. The form before me is not beautiful. It's revolting. I shaped myself in the image of death, truly believing I was transcending mortal beauty. This corpse controlled me for so long. This corpse manipulated me and made me want to become just like it. Somewhere along the way, my own identity began to dissolve, and I started to believe that I had become this rotting carcass, this pallid bag of flesh. The spell has been broken. I don't know if it's because of my near-death experience or the clarity of mind inspired by an intoxicating cocktail of painkillers, but I no longer want to associate myself with Corpse Girl. I want to be myself, just Noriko. I no longer want to kill in the name of this blasphemous effigy.
Corpse Girl, I found you here. Trapped in this storage closet. Just over a year ago. And you stole my life from me.
Looking at her now, I can't help but wonder what the hell went through my mind when I let her possess me. Why did discovering this corpse have such a profound, lasting effect on my psyche? I shut my eyes as a wave of dizziness threatens to overcome me. Staggering in the near darkness, I struggled to retain my balance. I had blocked out the memory of discovering this corpse for so long, I refused to acknowledge it ever happened. But the crystallized fragments of that forgotten memory have finally breached the surface of my consciousness. I can finally recall the event thanks to the clarity brought about by my current state of mind. It happened several days after I moved into this apartment. The musty smell of mold lured me to the wall at the end of the corridor, the wall that had been hastily patched up and covered with plaster and paint. I wondered about the source of the smell. I figured it might be a leak, a busted pipe that needed repair. Instead of calling upon the landlord for assistance, I took matters into my own hands. Perhaps I was inspired by my newfound independence. I had just become a free young woman living on my own for the first time. Perhaps I was just stupid. I located a mallet in the garden shed. I tore down the wall. I found Corpse Girl, and in that moment I fell to my knees. Someone had hung this corpse upon the wall and decorated the storage room with books and photographs. The sight of the dead woman bearing down on me instantly unearthed the buried memories of my mother's attempted suicide. The pain and despair that I had repressed for so long found its way out of my mouth and formed an unholy scream. I think the fear of that discovery and the subsequent revival of subdued memories caused me to slip in and out of consciousness. I was paralyzed by fear and my entire body was racked with pain. Looking back now, I feel like I must have spent days lying in a heap on the floor of this storage closet, days spent within a dreary haze of dread and depression and distress, days spent at the feet of that hanging corpse, that form I began to look up to and idolize, days spent in a lull, a fever dream surrounded by photographs on the wall of all manner of corpses, days and days of my soul and identity slipping between my fingers. Something must have eventually cracked inside me, because I remember getting to my feet and repairing the wall. I don't know how I did it, but I patched it up and painted over it and vacuumed up all the dust and debris from the carpet. And then the memory of the entire incident just vanished from my mind. The only relic I retrieved from that storage space was a single book. A heavy tome that must have tumbled out of the closet during my delirium. Force Photography, a comprehensive history of photo manipulation. So, Kojiro did know that book? Because he had it. And she recommended it to him. And he stole it from her. Now, Corpse Girl doesn't look the way she used to. Uncovering her today hasn't shocked me into submission like it did all that time ago. Am I stronger now? No, not really. But I was prepared to face her this time. And now I'm here to bury her. As I calmly assess how difficult it will be to retrieve her from her position, my eyes fall upon the dozens of photos plastered haphazardly across the walls. Photographs of nameless bodies printed with an instant camera. There must be 10 or 20 or 30 corpses across the entire series of images. I don't recognize any of them. That's the only comfort I can take from viewing the images, the comfort that I'm not the one who decorated this room with these macabre visuals. Whoever put these photos up is undoubtedly the same person responsible for hanging Corpse Girl on the wall. All of the photos look so real, and all of the corpses are in such normal situations. There's an image of a decomposing body sitting on a bench waiting for a train platform. He's wearing a suit like any ordinary businessman. Another image is of a headless couple at a dinner table, dressed in their Sunday best. They are sharing a candlelit meal. Corpses going about their daily life. It's eerily reminiscent of something else I've encountered before, Nobel Sinclair, who I believe is Kojiro, because either he's started imitating his work early on, or he wrote from his own work. He wrote what he knew. What was it? A book I read? Instinctively, my eyes dart to the pile of books toppled over in a corner of the storage room. There were a dozen duplicate books, as if they were abandoned here by their own author. Thank you. I crouch and dust off the cover of the book at the top of the pile, Dazed by the Dead by Nobel Sinclair. Nobel Sinclair. Underneath 10 more copies of that volume is a different book with a familiar cover. Strange Flower. I know this. The very same book that Kojiro lent me so long ago. Except the book here is not some worn, well-read library copy. It's in pristine condition, save for the layers of dust coating it. There are nearly a dozen copies of this book as well. Someone intentionally abandoned these books here. And the fact they are accompanying so many photos of corpses, not to mention Miss Corpse Girl herself, is no coincidence. These books and photos, as well as the copy of Force Photography I found here so long ago, all of this somehow embedded itself into my consciousness and inspired me to start Corpse Girl's website. I'm sure of it. This room, this fucking cursed room, ruined my life and corrupted my mind. And I have to wonder if somebody planned it all. Did somebody leave all of these things here in order to break whoever entered? That's probably a far-fetched concept, but I'm desperate to place the blame on somebody, anybody but myself.
Enough.
A light slap to my face snaps me out of my inner ramblings. It's time to bury Corpse Girl and put this life behind me once and for all. I can't really atone for the things I've done this last year. Hell, I don't actually feel like I need to atone. It's not guilt that's eating me up inside. But, at the very least, I can move on. I carefully remove the restraints tying Corpse Girl to the wall and feel the weight of her rotted body collapse against my own frail form. Her head leans against my shoulder, and for a brief moment I pause and let her rest against me. I run a hand through what's left of her hair. She's been through a lot. We both have. We're both Corpse Girl. Well, we both used to be. Now we are just empty husks with no purpose. If we're not Corpse Girl, we'll probably be forgotten, lost to time and memory. For once in my life, I'm looking forward to being forgotten.